Well, this is a sort of area that people can settle down very easily. I've noticed it's a very family-orientated place more than anything. Yeah, it's a lovely place.
People care for it now, because when I was growing up here, late 70s, early 80s, I was a teenager. It was a terrible place. Newington Green, like the green area, was it was a mess. It was just a horrible place to be.
Everyone was either doing drugs or selling drugs or very dodgy.
Yeah.
You did not want to go in that area.
Yeah.
But it hasn't got that now. It's completely cleaned out. It's got really nice houses now, aren't you? You never had that before. I can't remember that anyway. You never had that before.
I just think I just think the lifestyle's changed really.
So, because it's a roundabout, roundabouts tend to be, or places of roundabouts tend to be like no man's land kind of thing, because they're on the way to Green Lane, you're on the way to Stokey or whatever. But that's now, because of the work that was done, because there was that group of women that really worked to clean that up. It's like it's now a destination.
Community.
People have moved out, some have moved, newer people have moved in, and there just seems to be more care about the area. In terms of the demographic or ethnicity, it's changed a lot, because when I moved here, I grew up and went to school with a lot of black people and Turkish people. It was very Turkish Cypriot actually. But then that's changed, so many of the Turkish people I grew up with moved out.
It's very hard to pin down working class today because of what the capitalist system is doing to money.
Working class to me is someone who's working, who keeps it real. They've grafted.
When in my dad's time, my parents' time, it meant you went to certain places because that was what you could afford to do, and you had a certain lifestyle. And one of the things my dad and his brother, and I'm sure my mother went there, went to the Mildmay Club. And my dad and his brother, Pat, his name was, they were members there for years.
To me, it means, obviously it was different like 50 or 60 years ago, but for me, I find it quite frustrating because just because you're working class, I find that sometimes you're really judged on that, and you have to work as hard to do a certain job that someone that's, you know, upper class or middle class or whatever. I mean, actually, you can do that job a lot better, but if it's you talk a certain way, oh no, you need to talk differently, or, you know, and it's prejudice, and it's people have this visual or what working class is.
Because there's so many people who talk about this subject, and they speak either, as I said, from anger or guilt or fear, or they don't talk at all because they feel, you know, marginalised, you know.
So I would definitely say I didn't really see as many people as I got older that I went to school with or recognised, because they, you know, it just, people did sort of up and move, which is sad. But I mean, it was a different time then.
And I think a lot of the problem in this country, I was speaking to an American yesterday, and they have similar problems with class, but it's much more insidious. We're pretty blatant about it, I think. Is it's access to education.
Yeah, education.
I think if the top 1% of your citizenry go to the top 1% of the thing and they're in charge, then you're not going to get a fair crack of the whip at any point. But if everyone's got access to a good education, then it just levels the playing field a little bit more, doesn't it?
When there were performances at school, where I went to school, lots of people were involved, black, white, Turkish. But now there's not many, you know. And in the area as well, there were lots of involvement with black people, white people, some Turkish. My mum was one of the founders of the local Stay and Play in it's now called Mild May Centre, but it used to be called Mayville, the Mayville, and Milton Gardens and the factory, you know. So black people in the community were very active in terms of, you know, having bingo clubs. But now that's changed. We don't see that presence anymore.
We were taught to be proud of where we're from. We were taught to be proud of our ancestors.
Work hard.
A job had value. You paid your bills and all of that. This feckless working poor thing comes from Victorian times, and it's still there, isn't it?
Yeah, and treat everyone the same. I mean, that's the bottom line.
And I felt like that's what most people did. You know, that's what, you know, that my experience, that those were the two main things earning money, working, earning money and taking care of your family and just enjoying the area locally.
But yeah, for me, it doesn't matter what income bracket I'm in or educational background. I still feel working class, and even though I'm still living in Hackney, feel working class. And maybe it's to do with my mentality, down to earth. I know what it's like to struggle, and I think that for me is about the working class element. I know what it's like not to have any money.